Hello there, I'm Azara Tagaya. Welcome to Nightline, news making the headlines. Pakatan Harapan picks Carmine Sardini as candidate for Tanjung Piai by-election. And EU agrees to extend Brexit until January 31st, 2020. Good morning. Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia on Monday announced that Carmine Sardini is the Pakatan Harapan PH candidate for the upcoming Tanjung Piai by-election. The announcement was made by Bersatu's President Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin during the launch of the PH election machinery in Kampung Sri Bunyan in Pontian, Johor.
Calonnya ialah Tuan Haji Carmine Sardini, Ketua Bersatu bahagian Tanjung Piai. Hanya kita ucapkan, maka saya pula ingin melancarkan kempen dan gerak kerja jentera pilihan raya Pakatan Harapan Tanjung Piai. Pakatan!
Carmine is a 68-year-old architect and also a former teacher at the Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Teluk Kerang. He was previously an UMNO member but contested as a PH candidate in the Pontian parliamentary seat in the last election but lost to Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan. The Election Commission has set November 2nd as the nomination day and November 16th as polling day for the parliamentary by-election. The election was triggered after its previous Member of Parliament, Dr. Mad Farid Mad Rafiq, died of a heart complication on September 21st. In the 14th general election, Dr. Farid defeated Barisan Nasional's Datuk Sri Wee Jek Seng, who was the incumbent, and Nordin Othman of PAS with a majority of 524 votes.
Ini adalah bukan satu amanah yang berat untuk saya tanggung dan ianya akan saya cuba laksanakan sedaya mungkin. InsyaAllah saya ingin merayu kepada seluruh jentera dan juga rakan-rakan dan pimpinan Parti Pakatan Harapan di peringkat semua pangkat untuk sama-sama membantu menggarap jentera bersama-sama ke arah yang telah ditetapkan oleh parti kita.
The Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad stressed that only the Pakatan Harapan Presidential Council can decide on his position as Prime Minister. He said suggestions from the opposition Member of Parliament that he stay as Prime Minister until the next general election was only their opinion. He added that only the Presidential Council has the right to ask him to stay on or hand over the power to the next Prime Minister. Tun Dr. Mahathir also reiterated that he could not place a specific time frame for the leadership takeover to happen as the country has problems that are not easily solved. He was speaking to the Malaysian media after ending his two-day visit to Turkmenistan. Meanwhile, Tun Dr. Mahathir said Turkmenistan plans to extend the production sharing contract PSC with Petronas for another 10 years until 2038. He said the wish was expressed by Turkmenistan President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov during their meeting on Sunday night.
Jadi ini menunjuk bahawa kita telah memuaskan hati mereka dan saya yakin mereka akan pertimbang pemberian concession yang lain kepada Petronas. Di sini Petronas boleh buat take over 100% daripada kegiatan mengeluarkan minyak dan gas.
In 1996, Petronas was given a 32-year PSC until 2028 to produce natural gas in the Block 1 offshore area of the Caspian Sea. Turkmenistan has the world's fourth largest underground reserves of natural gas after Russia, Iran and Qatar. It boasts 20 trillion cubic meters of proven reserves of natural gas. Petronas is 100% involved in the production of oil and gas in Turkmenistan compared to only 15% in Azerbaijan. Malaysia's improved ranking from 15th to 12th in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business 2020 report is testimony to the government's success in reforming the country's institutions. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said that the position was Malaysia's best since 2015 and attributed it largely to changes in regulations that made starting a business and dealing with construction permits easier. In a statement on Monday, Lim said the government remains committed to implementing its institutional reforms while supporting economic growth in line with the overall Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. The Doing Business report surveys regulations governing business activities in the economies, which are then ranked according to their ease of doing business scores based on quantitative indicators of the regulations. Malaysia also rose to 4th easiest place to do business in Asia after Singapore, Hong Kong and South Korea, a step up from the previous year when Malaysia ranked 5th. Lim also said Malaysia was among the best improved economies in the World Bank's 2018 Worldwide Governance Indicators (WGI) published earlier this month. The WGI measures institutional quality across 214 countries by accounting for 6 dimensions: accountability, political stability, government effectiveness, regulatory quality, rule of law and corruption. Lim said Malaysia improved in 5 out of the 6 dimensions compared to 2017's score, with only regulatory quality unchanged. He also said Malaysia's positive performance in both indices will play a critical role in keeping Malaysia's sovereign credit ratings high at A3 or A negative, as the latest WGI showed a strong credit positive in the evaluation of sovereign credit ratings. Apart from Malaysia's reaffirmation of its sovereign credit ratings, Lim said the domestic economy continues to exhibit resilience with industrial production index growth accelerating from 1.2% to 1.9% year-on-year in August, due to sustained manufacturing growth and recovery in mining output. The September inflation rate was recorded at 1.1%, a figure Lim said was conducive for private consumption expansion. Now, PKR says it has accepted many former UMNO members into the party, and the deciding factor is that one must adhere to the party's reform agenda. Its president, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, said it was for this reason that there is no strong opposition to former UMNO loyalist Datuk Sri Saleh Said Keruak joining his party. Speaking in Sabah on Monday, Datuk Sri Anwar told the media that his party is aware of Datuk Sri Saleh's previous links to UMNO.
That he was stalwart in defence of Najib in the past, but he says that now he is very committed to the party struggle. We just have to consider. I'm not saying that that should be a decision. I was quite a committed member of UMNO in the past. But you must, to me, what is not negotiable or which can be compromised is, or we must not be compromised, is the fact that you must adhere to the reform agenda. You see? You must accept the fact that this is a party reform.
The PKR Supremo was speaking to the media after attending the Sabah PKR convention in Penampang today. He said that there is no rush to make a decision on Datuk Sri Saleh's interest to join PKR. Datuk Sri Saleh, who left UMNO last December along with other party members, said he chose to join PKR because of its multiracial policies. The number of flood victims nationwide rose to 2,052 people as of 8 p.m. on Monday, compared to 1,676 people as at 8 a.m. According to the Social Welfare Department, 552 families were evacuated to 19 temporary relief centres in 5 states. The 5 flood-affected states are Selangor, Johor, Perak, Pulau Pinang and Kedah. Selangor recorded the highest number of flood victims, with 784 people from 245 families, followed by Johor at 574 and 129 respectively. In Perak, 523 people from 133 families were housed at 5 relief centres, while Kedah and Pulau Pinang each registered flood evacuees of below 100 people from 19 and 26 families respectively. Authorities said thunderstorms, heavy rains and strong winds had contributed to the flood situation in the 5 states. In the meantime, the flood situation in Kuala Selangor is expected to continue until this weekend, as the high tide phenomenon is due to end this Wednesday. Selangor Menteri Besar Amiruddin Syari said the area had been affected by floods as the monsoon season had coincided with the high tide phenomenon that had hit the coastal area since Sunday. Amiruddin said that in planning for a long-term solution to the flood problem, the government is in the process of bidding for the Sungai Buloh Flood Mitigation Project.
Ada projek jangka panjang yang telah diluluskan, yang sedang dalam proses pertenderan ataupun pembidaan, iaitu rancangan Tempatan Banjir RTB Sungai Buloh yang insya-Allah akan mengambil masa tempoh 2 tahun untuk dilaksanakan. Dan kita berharap agar projek itu dapat dilaksanakan segera.
Amiruddin said this after visiting the relief centre at Sekolah Kebangsaan Parit Mahang on Monday. He added that as a measure to speed up the flow of water from this district, high-powered pumps located in Klang would be installed here in preparation for the high tide. The road was dark, hilly and windy, and the driver could not foresee that there would be a group of cyclists on the road at that hour. Looking at those facts, the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court released a salesgirl who was charged with recklessly driving and causing the death of 8 teenage cyclists. Judge Siti Hajar Ali decided that the prosecution failed to prove a prima facie case against Samka Ting, 24, and decided not to call her defence. In her judgment, she said several factors were taken into consideration in delivering the verdict, including that there was also no evidence that she was driving under the influence of alcohol, and neither was she using her mobile phone while driving. Investigations also found that Sam was wearing her seatbelt. The judge said that these factors showed that she was driving responsibly at the time. She also reminded parents to look after their children to avoid this accident from happening again, and had asked the police to act sternly against this activity. In 2017, a group of 8 teenagers were riding modified bicycles known as Basikal Laja at 3:20 a.m. in Johor Bahru when the accused had crashed into them. The teens killed were aged between 13 and 16. Meanwhile, despite the horrific incident, the Lajak cyclists were not deterred. In Taman Muda Ampang in Selangor, a group of kids were caught on video riding their Basikal Lajak on the road, putting themselves and other motorists in danger. This video was recorded by a taxi driver who witnessed 2 of the cyclists crashing their bicycles as they raced each other. The taxi driver even repeatedly honked at them, warning them to stop, but to no avail.
You orang mahnya susah lah.
You orang apa tahu? Gila kali orang. Mak bapak tak belah orang ah.
Hah?
Ah? Mak bapak you tak belah ah?
Jangan fikir tunggu sini.
Tunggu.
The video ends with one of the cyclists falling off his bicycle and wounding his knee. Two killed in 4 vehicle mishap. This and more from the local front after this breather. Back on Nightline, 2 orang asli men were killed while 2 other people were injured in a 4-vehicle pileup in Jerantut, Pahang on Sunday night. The 2 deceased were identified as Radin Apu and his friend Ahmad Bustaman Fauzi, aged 25 and 33 respectively. District Police Chief Superintendent Mazlan Hassan said the 10 p.m. incident at Jalan Jerantut Maran involved a Toyota Hilux, Proton Wira Aerobac, Proton Iswara and a motorcycle. According to several witness accounts, the Hilux had swerved into the opposite lane and slammed into the Wira and Iswara. Radin, who was driving the Iswara, and Ahmad Bustaman, who was sitting in the rear passenger seat, died on the spot from severe body and head injuries, while another passenger in the car, Tiwani, aged aged 40, was badly hurt. A 17-year-old teenager who was riding the motorcycle was also injured after he failed to avoid the wreckage. Both injured victims were rushed to the Jerantot Hospital and Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Hospital for treatment. Authorities added that both the Hilux and Wira drivers escaped unhurt, and police have recorded their statements to facilitate investigations into the cause of the crash under the Road Transport Act. A 42-year-old car salesman is feared to have drowned after jumping from the Sultan Yahya Petra Bridge into the Kelantan River. The 10 a.m. incident was witnessed by a passerby who then informed the Fire and Rescue Department. The man, who was reported to have been suffering from depression, had rode his motorcycle to the bridge before jumping. 22 firemen, including a water rescue team from Kota Baru and Kota Darul Naim, was rushed to the scene. The strong currents in the river caused by the rain hindered the search and rescue operation, as the water had turned murky with low visibility. A man was arrested for drug possession involving 1,800 Yaba pills in Jeli, Kelantan on Sunday morning. State Police Chief Datuk Hasanuddin Hassan said the pills were estimated to be worth 18,000 ringgit. Datuk Hasanuddin said police found the pills hidden in a house toilet and the bonnet of a car at Kampung Batu Melintang. It is believed that the man acquired the drugs from Tanah Merah and had planned to distribute them around the Jeli district. Checks revealed that the 47-year-old man, who was tested positive for methamphetamine, has 2 criminal records relating to drugs. The suspect was remanded for 7 days while the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. The Kelantan police will let the Royal Thai Police probe the death of a Malaysian man whose body was found with gunshot wounds in Narathiwat, Thailand on Sunday. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Hasanuddin Hassan said the police have not received any further information on the case from Thai authorities so far. The incident occurred at around 4:30 a.m. local time. The victim was identified as 28-year-old Muhammad Faizal from Rantau Panjang, Kelantan. Preliminary police investigations found that the victim had earlier quarrelled with 5 men near the scene. Still to come, students defy PM's order to join Iraq protests. This and more when we return. We're back with the foreign news. European Union EU leaders on Monday agreed in principle to extend Brexit until January 31st, 2020, meaning the United Kingdom will not leave as planned on Thursday. EU Council President Donald Tusk said it was a flextension, meaning the UK could leave before the deadline if a deal was approved by Parliament. The President of the European Parliament, David Sassoli, meanwhile, said the extension was positive and gives time for the UK to make clear what it wants. The announcement comes as MPs prepare to vote on proposals by Boris Johnson for an early general election on December 12th. The SNP and Lib Dems have also proposed an election on December 9th. The government has not ruled out getting behind that proposed date if it fails to get its preferred date through the Commons later. Johnson had repeatedly said the UK would leave on October 31st deadline with or without a deal, but the law known as the Benn Act requires him to accept the EU's extension offer. Iraqi security forces on Monday fired tear gas at school and university students who defied a warning from the Prime Minister and joined anti-government protests that have left more than 200 people dead over the past month. Videos on social media showed security forces on Monday launching tear gas at students in one Baghdad district as the protests spread to other pockets of the capital. Students in 5 other provinces, mostly in the south, also joined protests. A spokesman for Prime Minister Adil Abdul Mahdi, whose position is increasingly precarious as he faces the largest challenge since he came to power a year ago, said on Sunday that anyone disrupting work or school days would be severely punished. Mass street protests in Baghdad and other cities in the southern Shiite heartland against economic hardship began at the start of the month and resumed on Friday after a pause of about 2 weeks. Thousands of Iraqi protesters had gathered in Baghdad's central Tahrir Square on Sunday, defying a bloody crackdown that had killed more than 74 people over the previous 2 days and an overnight raid by security forces seeking to disperse them. I'm Azara Tagaya. Thank you for your company.